last night was over the top. The bears were trying to claw through the walls of the cabins because they've run out of salmon in the river. Digby here is the bear dog of the town, and Digby is indeed a very brave dog because he didn't back down from the mother grizzly last night at all.
I took advantage of the fact that we had a shop in False Pass, which is the old woodworking shop.
So I was thinking, Scotty, maybe after I finish this shock, I've got this wood shop here, maybe we'll do a little wood shop project. What do you think? Some coffee tables?
I think we have that kind of time.
Yeah, well, not too many bookends. I mean, 3 or 4 sets. Nothing extreme. I've always wanted to make a coffee table, really. Like, seriously. We could make some really nice furniture.
The boat's in terrible shape right now. It just keeps getting worse and worse, and I just wonder how much more neglect it can take. We head out of False Pass as soon as we get a break in the weather. After I stopped and did a ceremonial powder down.
Last thing I do before I go boating is I give myself a generous dose of Johnson's baby powder. Your boys have been good to you, you gotta be good to them. Trust Johnson's baby powder.
At False Pass we waited for a few days, but hit a good stretch of weather, and we thought, oh man, Kodiak's ours. So we headed out and we put the throttles down and we did some of the best speeds that we had done, one of the best speeds we had done so far.
Fall storms are starting to close in on us, and we gotta pick and choose our days wisely. Take time when we can and rest when we can. We don't want to repeat performance of the Bering Sea, that's for sure.
And everything was just going fantastic until we got into the dreaded Shelikof Straits, which we had been warned about. Night's starting to come, and it's getting rougher, and it's getting rougher, and it's getting rougher.
And I kind of thought at this point that we were through the worst of it and started to maybe take things a little lighter, like, okay, Bering Sea's done, let's just go home. And that next run, the Shelikof Straits, it handed it to us again. And I don't think I was really ready for that. I thought we were done.
Ran into big swells coming in off the Pacific Ocean. Come on! That all you got? These little chicken shit waves?
It seemed to be the worse it got, the more jokes we made, and that was sort of our way of getting through it. But it was just something to pass the time and get your mind off the serious situation. And it worked. It absolutely worked. It was awesome.
People in Kodiak were great. Took us into their house, and we ended up staying at the dock manager's house. He was friends with the Coast Guard and the weather people, and that was most critical. And it was an agonizing 10-day wait. I believe we were in Kodiak for 10 days waiting for the weather to break.
Well, if we get stuck in Kodiak any longer, I was actually thinking about dropping a resume off here to one of the local fishing boats, see if I can get a job for the winter, maybe make a little gas money up to get home.
Yeah. Hello, I'm wondering, hello, are you accepting resumes? I'm a vegetarian. Might be a little problem at mealtime.
They're not taking job applicants right now.
In the meantime, we called another friend of mine, Milton Barnes. Milton owns a Mercury dealership in Victoria.
He mentioned the boat's kind of beat up. We're fatigued out. It's been incredibly difficult, far beyond what he expected.
And Milton agreed to come up and look at these engines that were hurting, and we knew they were hurting.
Pretty good. It's inventive. I gotta say that. That's inventive.
We really need to get on top of our game as far as what was happening in the Gulf of Alaska with weather.
Today we're sitting in Kodiak Harbor, and behind me there's 600 reasons why we're not going out into the Gulf of Alaska. We have massive low pressure areas, residual from a
typhoon that has swept through the open Pacific. All these low pressure areas are coming to the Gulf of Alaska wave after wave, and they're bringing horrendous winds with it offshore. All of the fishermen have elected to tie up and wait this one out, and we're doing the same thing.
Even the weather, it was so obsessive. I obviously tried to study it a bit, and Scotty's quite knowledgeable at it also, but he was learning. He was becoming a meteorologist, and that's why Dave does train himself. He doesn't need an education, he'll teach himself.
What we were attempting was a straight across crossing of the Gulf of Alaska, which nobody does. Not that time of year, and not that type of boat. And that would put us out of their range from shore.
And there was no ships in the ocean at that point, so we were on our own for that part of the crossing. So I 100% knew that when Dave said it was time, he's thinking of not his life, he's thinking of Scott and myself. He wouldn't risk us. I knew it wouldn't be a problem.
We've stripped all the weight out of the boat for a high-speed run across the Gulf of Alaska. We've got 600 miles to cover. Of that, some of it is without out of reach of the helicopters, the Coast Guard helicopters. They know we're going. Harbor Master here knows we're going. Pretty risky venture, this one. We're going to be quite a ways from help, and we've got to make it all in one go, 600 miles. So here we go.
Plan is take off, boom, across the Gulf of Alaska.
Shock absorber that we damaged back in the Bering Sea. So it's been an exciting ride.
Finally, we're in the inside sheltered waters of the Gulf of Alaska. We make it to Ketchikan, and we were actually going to stop in Ketchikan, and it seemed very calm. So I thought, well, we'll put our foot out, we'll just, sneak our nose outside the harbor here and see what's going on. And even though the weather report said it was going to be very, very windy, it was very calm. And I said to the guys, I think we should go for it. So we put the throttles down, and that was one of the fastest parts of the trip. We had speeds of up to 60 knots, and then we spotted a dinghy in the water, a life raft. When you see a life raft in the water, this is not a good thing, and it's overturned.
We just found a Zodiac floating. Nobody in it?
What is this?
If you lost a Zodiac in Dixon Entrance in October, call the number at the bottom of the screen. Thank you.
We shoot into Prince Rupert and do the usual humorous customs questions about where we've been.
We didn't have any fresh fruit or farm animals, so we're officially back into Canada. Here we are in Rupert. We made it. Milty, take a bow for the engines. It's your man Scott. Couldn't have done it without him. Thank you. We're going for fish and chips.
And all night it blew like crazy.
It was gusting in town last night up to 100 miles an hour, and it's blown these roofing materials from the buildings, and they're just littered the streets from this point on, as you can see draped around this big propeller.
There was debris everywhere. The power was out in the town. And we got to get out of here. There's another storms are coming. I got to get home. Fortunately, in the 11th hour, the power was restored to Prince Rupert, and we were able to get fuel. But now we're behind schedule. So now we've got to make a record, and I mean a record, attempt at the coast from Prince Rupert to Port Hardy. We're just really punching it by now. And we've been operating this boat for a while, so we know how to operate it really fast.
Right now, going through Grenville Channel with the heavy rains, we've got large landslides and the creeks are over full, and that means they're washing all the logs down into the channels here. And these logs are the icebergs of the Pacific coast.
And we're going past another iconic bad spot, Cape Mudge, with the tide running the wrong way. I'm thundering through these big waves, and we are bouncing and going. And Milt yells, "Stop, stop, stop." What the heck is it now? We go back and look. One engine is dangling